Welcome back to the next video. In this video, we're going to be getting into some scripting. In the last video, what we did was we came together and basically started talking about the relationship between Unity and our IDE. So basically, once again, the IDE is the software package that we use to do all of our programming inside of. We're going to be working almost exclusively in the IDE for the remainder of this lesson, because the work that we do from it directly correlates back into Unity, which is really, really nice. But ultimately, we're not going to be working in Unity exclusively like we have in the past. So in this lesson, we're heading right straight into Microsoft Visual Studios. And my goal of this lesson, honestly, more than anything else, is just to help you understand what in the world are we actually looking at? What is going on in the background of Microsoft Visual Studios? What does all these words mean? And so when you understand that, you understand how to change it, manipulate it, and make it your own. All right, so without any further ado, Microsoft Visual Studios. All right, so here we are back in Microsoft Visual Studios, and in this video, in this shot, what I'm trying to say specifically is I wanted to kind of describe to you guys what each and every single one of these things does. Now, ultimately, you will not have all of this stuff memorized from this moment forward, and that is completely fine. That's not something that we're trying to tackle right now. Well, all I'm trying to do is just trying to get you familiar with and comfortable with what you see on the screen. All right, so the first thing that we see right up here on the top are 3 lines of what starts off with the word using. Now, before we even start talking about what this stuff means, let's start talking a little bit about the color coding that we see in our program. You guys can see right now we've got a whole bunch of words that are in blue. The reason why they're in blue, they very much, that color means something specific. The color blue in here are what we call keywords. And a keyword is a specific word that is stored inside, if you will, the glossary of Unity. And these are words that mean something to the program. And so when I say using, we're going to be specifically using something. What are we going to be using? Well, up here on this line, we're going to be using a glossary, because I've already introduced the concept to you. We're going to be using a glossary that's stored in our system, and the name of that glossary is collections. Then the next line, we go even further. If you can imagine stacking 3 glossaries or 3 dictionaries right on top of each other, that's exactly what I've got. So I've got, this is my first dictionary, this is my second one, and this is my third one. So we go beyond just the regular systems collection, and in here we go systems collection, and then we go into the generic. So there's a difference between the collections and the generic glossary or dictionary. There are different keywords, different functions in these 2 different dictionaries, different keywords. And all of our keywords, once again, are all in blue. All right, the next line right here says using Unity Engine. Unity Engine is yet another glossary, another dictionary, a group of words that have kind of been put together that allow us to do specific things in our program. For example, one of the words that we have right here is start. So when our program physically starts, we're going to basically run everything inside this curly bracket and that closed curly bracket. So anything in between here is going to happen when our program starts. That's the keyword. On start, I need you to do this. Then what happens is, as the program runs, every frame, it's going to run this update function. So these are things that we're just constantly wanting to check, like the position of my character, whether or not I've shot any bullets, whether bullets have landed and done damage to enemies, and has it been enough damage to take that character out of the game. All of that happens on every single time that the game is updated. And so that's basically what these 2 guys are right here and right here. All right, so back up to the top. We have usings, these 3 usings there, those are keywords, that keyword being using itself. And then everything after it is the name of the dictionary or the glossary that we're going to be accessing keywords out of. We always start our program off with these usings, and the reason why is because that defines everything else that happens below it. I can't use any of these keywords or any other keywords that aren't in the glossaries, the dictionaries that I've already chosen to use. And as we get more complicated and more complex with our video game, we're going to need more dictionaries and more glossaries to be able to do everything that we want to do. All right, for the next part of this, we've got public class, and then we've got all this craziness right down here. What I want to show you is something that I prepared in advance of this video. Give me just a second. I am back. And what I've got here is I've got a folder. And on my folder, you can see right across the top, it says Hello World. Then inside of there, I've got a little deal here. It's got an open curly bracket. Now on the back side of that folder, you'll see that it has a closed curly bracket. So think about the open curly bracket as the front of the folder and the closed curly bracket as the back of the folder. Now we're going to be using all different kinds of brackets. They call this one the curly bracket because obviously it's got all these little crazy curls and stuff on it. There are square brackets, there are parentheses, there's all different kinds of ones that we use in here. I mean, there's not like a huge list, but there's at least, 5 or 6 of them. All right. So what we've got right now, if we look at the program itself, you'll see it says public class, and in here, right here, it says Hello World. Below that, we have my open and closed curly brackets. And this open and closed curly brackets wraps around, or the keyword that programmers use is it encapsulates. Everything is encapsulated inside of this open and closed curly bracket right here and right here. And it's like everything is just stored within this folder. Okay, pretty cool. So when you look at public class, what public class basically means is this is a way of organizing everything in the program. Now, inside of here, you'll notice that I have another one here, says void start, and it is followed by an open and closed curly bracket. So if I were to open up this folder right here, inside of this folder, I have other folders. And this folder here says start on the front of it. And it's got an open, and once again, on the back of it, it's got a closed curly bracket, or it should. From there, we've got our next folder right here, and our next folder represents void update. So I can have as many of these folders inside as I want, okay? And each one of these folders is basically represented by, here's the name of it, key attributes to it, and in here is what's contained inside of it. This is the opening, and that's the closing. All right, so we've already talked about what happens inside of our folders already. We have our void start, and void start basically means like when the program first opens up, I want you to run all of this code inside the curly brackets, inside the folder, okay? Then as the game is running, we're going to update things. And as we update things, what updates do I want to have happen inside of this folder? Now, in essence, that is 90% of what you're looking at here on the screen. You have organization, you have some more organization that we understand what those do, and then we have all of our initial keywords that allow us to do things inside the program. All right. So in the next video, what I want to do is I want to take the ideas of everything that we've looked at so far. Hopefully all this makes a little bit more sense. It's a little bit more approachable. And in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a couple more specifics, like what does void mean? And why is there parentheses here? And why are these lines green? But all of that stuff right there is going to come up in the next video. We'll see you then.